Yay, we're finally in Priorat. This is going to be so much fun. We're going to be talking about Gratallops, which is one of the villages in the center of Priorat. We're going to be talking about the grapes, of course, the wine, the culture, the food, the experience, the history. Yay. Oh my God, this place is unbelievable. The beauty here is just like, I don't even know how you explain it. So we rented this cute little Mini so that we can have a car to travel. And thank God I already have a Mini. I know how these things handle because these roads are tiny and they're like, I am not kidding you. Just keep watching my hand.
They make that sound too.
It's going and going and going. But this has been awesome because we get to keep stopping and seeing these amazing spots. So in a minute.
What's his name? All minis have names.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Enrique. He's Max's Spanish lover.
The cicadas here are so loud. So in the background, you can see the national park. You can see vineyards below us. The wineries here are very big and very beautiful. It's very hot here, kind of like the American West. But there is a Mediterranean breeze that comes in every afternoon. So it's not a continental climate, technically speaking. We're here in the off season. In the spring, it's very busy and the roads are very windy. So I can't even imagine what it's like with all the tourists driving around in the spring. Much of the soil in Priorat is clay with these pieces of, is it schist?
Yes.
And so it's schisty, as they say.
Lots of rocks. Okay, so we're out here in one of the vineyards, one of the just numerous vineyards right on the roadside. And we're gonna look at these vineyards and we're gonna look across the street at the vineyards. First thing I wanna talk about Priorat. Like all of Europe, Spain is dry farmed. That means no irrigation. They've changed that rule recently in the last couple of years because of global warming, where now if it's an extremely hot period where the vines are endangered, they can water just enough to simulate what would be a rainy day.
These particular trellised vines look very good. Some of the ones in the region don't look so good. These look really good because we're deep in this valley floor. They probably have a lot more access to groundwater. The ones up on the hillside need to be bush trained, as Patrick's going to show you. So up here in La Morera de Montsant, the soil in this vineyard is very dry clay. And Patrick, how come the clay doesn't retain the water very well here in Priorat?
Just because they said that after a rain, because of the ocean breezes and the wind, it dries out so quickly that it just doesn't hold on to it. So here we are way up in the high country. We thought we were way beyond the vineyards and look what we find. This beautiful little Priorat bush-trained vineyard. Just a tiny little plot surrounded by a stone wall and pine trees.
There's nobody up here except us and the cicadas.
Okay, that was the traditional method of planting grapes here in Priorat until the 1980s when they started the French style. But they've gone back to this for very obvious reasons, because these vines don't have to work as hard to get water to the fruit because they're so low to the ground. And they've discovered, and now they're pretty much all planting this way. All the new vineyards are being planted in the old style again. So these tiny little plots or vineyards are planted all over Priorat. Probably most of them are owned by individual people. They actually harvest by hand with donkeys. And notice how they're spread out? That's because of the dry farming. They can't make them too dense because they would fight too much for the water that's available. So there's very low yield vineyards up here and the fruit is very concentrated, and that's why these Priorat wines are so rich and beautiful and so balanced.
How old would you say this vine is?
Some of these I say are 50, 60 years old.
Yeah, that's how old it looks.
Yeah.
Now let's say that's a Garnacha vine. How many of these little vines would it take for one bottle of this beautiful Garnacha?
Oh, I have no idea. You're asking me to be a scientist, a mathematician?
Girl, I thought you knew about wine.
I do, but I don't know in this vineyard. Okay, notice the grapes. Here, unlike in California, they don't have to do any shoot thinning, any fruit dropping, nothing, because these are such stressed vines because of the dry farming that every cluster on the vine is precious. Not very many.
So, like dumbasses, here we are in Poboleta, hoping to go to a really beautiful restaurant, but it's siesta because we took our time getting here. It's like nobody's around.
We're in the heart of Priorat, and we're looking at some of the oldest Garnacha vines in the region, and she's going to tell us about this particular vine.
Yeah, so actually this one would be called Garnacha peluda, which is just a hairy Grenache, and you can see it here because it has a hairy bottom of the leaves.
And how's that different from, let's say, a non-hairy Garnacha?
Well, obviously the leaves of a normal Grenache are not hairy at the bottom, and no hairy Grenache has no hairy fruit. It's only on the leaves. The idea is that it's a natural mutation of a red Grenache, and it helps the plant to manage better the morning humidity, so it can capture the humidity at the bottom of the leaves.
Okay, and so you said that this region is obviously it's very hot and dry here. And you have that coastal influence that comes in the afternoon, but you dry farm. And when is the only time you can ever add water to these vines?
Well, we could do it more or less from the veraison, so from the variation. We could be if it's a really bad year, we could be irrigating a little bit. But generally with the oldest vines, we don't do it because they don't.
And you said this was interesting. I think people will be interested to know that the trellising system, which is more the French style, the cordon, which was started being used when they started bringing the French style here, they don't do as well as the bush train.
Definitely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the plants over here, they can regulate much better. They stay closer to the soil, and if there's not a lot of water, they will simply not grow so much. Whereas the other way, if you see, the plants are forced to get to a certain height, and they have to pump the lymph to a certain height. They lose much more water because they're also higher, so the evaporation is higher.
Right. Oh, the evaporation is higher. Right.
Yeah, this is very interesting with the roots and how, you know, because it's like I was already saying, the age of the vine is something that's really important to us, so that's why we have organized the wines like this.
We're here in Priorat, and I'm drinking a dry Pedro Jimenez that is absolutely stunning. We'll talk about this more later, but I had to have this video.
All right, here we are at Cartoiche de Scalade. That means the Carthusian monastery of Scalade. And this was started in the 11th century. These were hermit monks. And they found the valley so beautiful that they wanted to stay here, but they needed a place where they could find water. And we're very close to the highest mountains, so it makes sense that they found water here. Come on. Hello, welcome to the pharmacy. The monks here were very wealthy because they had lots of herbs and medicines. And the name of this region, Priorat, comes from the word priory. So you can see how important the history of the Carthusian monastery is to the region. Priorat is in Catalonia, and the rural part of Catalonia, unlike parts of Barcelona, are very much pro-separatist. And it is very evident here. We have yellow ribbons painted on the street. We have Catalonian independence flags flying in the different villages and on the different wineries. And so we can really tell that the people here are very pro-separatist.